Okay, so it seems Mizkif has started a Hitpiece series on his ex-girlfriend, guys. So huge developments here. Huge developments. Very excited to see this. Obviously, I'm not a big fan of Emiru. Not a big fan of racist child Emiru. Not a big fan. So we're gonna take a look and see what Mizkif has to say. He's posted this video. Emiru Lied Part 1. So hopefully many more parts to come in the Emiru Lied series.
And today, I would like to go over them. I'm Matthew Renato, the streamer known online as Mizkif. In the court filings, my name is...
I don't want it to, but I can tell this is gonna suck. Yep.
Spelled Mizrandino. This is about Emily Shunk.
Yeah, my accountant tweaking.
Known as Emiru, who I was in a relationship with
yeah, it's got the accountant
for about 3 years. For 3 years, she was the first person I saw every morning and the last person I saw every night. She was a person who wanted to marry me and have my children. Then, about 10 months later, after we broke up, in October of 2025, on a live stream to her audience of millions, she accused me of sexual assault, stalking, and abuse. I deny those accusations completely. To be clear about the setup, I am the one who went to court. I sued her for defamation, meaning for making false accusations that damaged me. A court has since ordered me to lay out, one statement at a time, exactly what she said that is false. This is me doing that, with the public court record and her own words placed next to each claim, so you can weigh it for yourself. Here's what's changed. After her October 2025 live stream, the accusation spread everywhere, and to most people, the story was already settled. I was guilty. But what changed is that in June 2026, a federal judge reviewed her request to throw my entire case out and recommended the opposite, that it moves forward. So here's the accusations that she made. In 2026, a federal judge reviewed her request to throw my entire case out.
Considering the gist of Shunk's statement, which includes allegations of sexual assault, the court finds that it was reasonably capable of a defamatory meaning. The court finds accepting Mizrandino's factual allegations true and viewing them in the light most favorable to him, as required at this state of proceeding, the court finds that he had plausibly pleads a claim for defamation against Shunk based on her allegedly untrue statement that includes allegations of sexual assault. Okay, yeah, so it's just saying that prima facie, assuming, so I assume this was like what? I don't know what type of motion this would be. But prima facie, they've evaluated the allegations by Mizkif are worth looking into, are worth litigating.
And recommended the opposite, that it moves forward. So here's the accusations that she made on stream. These are in her words as the judge quoted them. On October 2025, near the start of her live stream, by the magistrate judge on the account of the transcript, she said she was, and quote, finally going to be opening up about the psychological and domestic abuse, stalking, and harassment, sexual...
Heard reports they heard a faint Mizzy Wizzy from the judge's office.
...assault and threats of blackmail that Mizkif has done towards me, and some of these issues which are still ongoing. Under Texas law, as a magistrate judge in my case wrote, accusing someone of a crime or of engaging in serious sexual misconduct is defamation per se. In plain terms, defamation per se means that falsely accusing someone of a crime is treated by the law as damaging on its face. So the harm does not.
Yeah, this is accurate. This is accurate. It's accurate. Mizkif not immediately triggering my total autism with poor legal understanding. So good start. Great start.
Have to be proven separately. Those are accusations of crimes. I deny every one of them. And the judge did not leave that standard in the abstract, applying it to her sexual assault accusation in the same opinion. She found that accusation reasonably capable of a defamatory meaning and allowed my defamation claim to move forward. If you want to find any of these readings, I'll be putting a link below where you can read everything. For the first time I spoke until now, my account has not changed. The same denial, the same story, the same detail. I have never had to take anything back because I have never lied. She has, repeatedly, through this entire process. And I'm going to walk you through the lies in her own filings and her words. The same filing has her calling one live stream spontaneous, unedited, and unscripted.
Okay, we actually did go over this. I do agree. This was a lie. This is, is it a full lie? I'm not sure, but it's pretty close.
Here's what she said.
Let's run that back. Wait. What was that?
That they were in fact reviewed by counsel in advance to the live stream. So her brief on the stream was spontaneous and unscripted. Her own filed transcript has her saying a lawyer reviewed and it read from notes. Both are her words. In the same case, they describe the same 90 minutes 2 different ways. The sexual assault allegations, she called it sexual assault. Here's what she said happened and what I did. She told her audience and later the court that what happened between us on one night was sexual assault, a crime. She named it on the live stream, where she made her own other accusations. Then she went over what she says happens that night. These are her own words, as quoted in my complaint. He started kissing my face and I let him do it. And then suddenly he tried to climb on top of me and aggressively shoved his hands down my pants. And I screamed. And when I screamed, he jumped off of me like a cat. Here's what I have to say about that, plainly. I did what any man should do in the situation. She made it clear that she didn't want it, and I stopped. I respected her not consenting. I did the right thing in that situation. And look closely at her own account, because on the thing that matters the most, it agrees with me. The moment she reacted, I stopped. When I screamed, he jumped off of me, like a cat, as her words, not mine. I did not push past her. I did not ignore her. The instant I understood that she was not okay, I stopped. I did not sexually assault her and deny it completely. Here's word for word from the transcript filed. In this case, is what I exactly said on that stream. This was never a confession, and it was denial. And I wrote, I knew the relationship wasn't healthy at this point. I knew we had to end it soon. Emmy posted—
Is Mizkif winning? Not yet. But he's got some, it seems like he's got something here.
A very provocative picture, one that she knew I would hate, and she posted it to make me upset. She admitted she made me upset with it, and we got into a heated argument after I broke up with her. We broke up for about a month. Then we got back together because we thought we could make it work. We went to get food at BJ's, a common place where we would get food. And then we went back to her house. We cuddled for about 30 minutes and we started to kiss. She said that she was okay with it on her stream, and I started to advance to the next stage because I thought that's what she wanted. She yelped, and I immediately sprung up and was scared if I did anything wrong or did wrong in general. I got scared and left the house. So why does this false version that I admitted to everything still win?
I am already in the process of filing a restraining order on him in both Texas and California.
20 months have now passed since the alleged incident without a single criminal complaint, restraining order, or investigation appearing in any record in California or Texas. The only active case arising from any of
That is pretty crazy if she said she was seeking a restraining order and never filed anything.
This is my defamation lawsuit that I brought against her. The total absence of any official—
She could have a legitimate explanation for it that's grounded in, you know, the abuse or whatever the fuck. Could totally be possible, but it does look bad.
Her lawyers argued that her own words were never factually a claim at all, only her protected emotional truth. She said, and I quote, her story is admirable, and in telling it, she is stating her emotional truth, not some statement of decisive fact. My attorneys answered that with one—
So, here's the thing, okay? Yeah, admirable, Mizkif. I think there is a legitimate argument that you can claim some kind of emotional truth about sexual assault, that you just referred to as sexual assault. I think there is a little bit of an argument there. Couple of issues, though. Wasn't remotely made clear during the stream. Certainly did seem like it was an allegation of actual sexual assault. And a lot of the people supporting her allegations against Mizkif would never accept this from anyone else. They would simply never accept an emotional truth claim of sexual assault. Now, if you're saying you got raped, you better have been raped. You know, that is the perspective, broadly, for most people that support Emiru on this shit, frankly. Who are like, well, who are super riding for her. Like, you know, most people, I think, there's a bunch of uninterested observers that are sort of like, oh, well, maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. But then there's like this group that are like riding for Emiru, that really hated Mizkif, that are sort of Asmongold people, that would never, from any other woman, accept emotional truth sexual assault.
Line. Emotional truth is not a recognized defense to defamation in Texas. And this is not just my side spin on her defense. The magistrate judge restating Shunk's own motion in her own words, described it in exactly those terms. She also argues that her statement, considered in its entirety, was an opinion or her protected emotional truth. The judge did not buy it on the part that matters the most. Vague feelings about a relationship can be protected opinion, but falsely accusing someone of sexual assault, the judge held, is different because those words can only mean one thing, that I committed a crime. She found exactly that about Shunk's accusation. Considering the gist of Shunk's statement, which included allegations of sexual assault, the court finds that it was reasonably capable of a defamatory meaning. He plausibly pleads a claim for defamation against Shunk based on her allegedly untrue statement that includes allegations of sexual assault.
So I don't know if I'm seeing the judge explicitly opining on this emotional truth argument, which seems to be what he's claiming. I'm not really seeing that. So I feel like he might be misportraying this a little.
Keep in mind that a lot of the calls that we would have with each other are not shown because we called each other every single day as we slept with each other every single night. January the 15th to 18th, I call her babe in a text.
Mizkif just twisting the knife on the Emiru Simps here, just absolutely twisting the knife. I was sleeping with her every single night after she... Dude, it's crazy. You can literally see the threads right now. You can see the threads going fucking crazy.
She was never cut off. She says that she cut me off through personal private communication, but she controlled the contact. She didn't block me, and on her own stream, she showed messages proving that I could still reach her. Choosing not to answer someone while never blocking them, while leaving every channel they could use to reach you wide open, and while showing no sign that you want them to stop is not the same as being stalked. She also knew that I
I don't know what the legal bar for stalking is. Here's the thing. Okay, so it's obviously, like, there are some obvious things here. Like, it's criticizable behavior, right? No one's gonna say spam texting your ex when she's not replying. It's not like desperate, creepy, embarrassing in like 99% of cases. I can maybe imagine a situation where they're both doing this back to each other and it's almost like a normalized behavior in the relationship. And I probably wouldn't judge it as harshly in that case. Do you know what I mean? If it's a routine pattern where they both go no contact, they're both super codependent, they spam each other with messages, they get back together and it's happening endlessly. You know, I'm sure everyone's known people that are in relationships like that. And it's like, do you super judge either party if there's not a clear sign of wrongdoing? No, it's just unhealthy. It's just like unhealthy, but it's sort of like a behavior they're both almost consenting to because they're both doing it back and forth. Now in this case, that's not being shown. So I think it almost definitely falls into that creepy, desperate category. But is it stalking? Is it even harassment if she's not making it clear explicitly? Obviously, we can all say it's an implicit understanding. If someone's not replying to DMs, they probably don't want you to DM them. But if it's not been made explicit, is it really harassment? I don't know. If there were blocks being put out, that would make sense. That would be a more explicit form.
I was going to be there. In her own words, she was aware that I would be there and chose to attend the same party. Going somewhere you knew the other person would be at is the opposite of being followed. She also says that she felt and thought she was paranoid. She does not say I actually followed or monitored her. She said that she felt that way and twice told her audience that she thought she was just being paranoid. And lastly, I opened the door and I left.
The question isn't really like how bad is it? It's does it qualify as stalking? Does it qualify as harassment? I'm like kind of unconvinced on that.
Concrete moment is that about 30 minutes later,
I think you can't call it that on its own. It could be a component of a pattern, but I think you would need some other strong instances to demonstrate it.
I opened a door, saw that she was inside, and said, ooh.
And this party instance, this is really weak.
And walked away. Stalkers follow you. They obsess over you. They don't open a door at your friend's party and walk away. This is the entire first-hand account in her own filing. On the strength of it, that she listed stalking among the crimes she accused me of. If I was stalking her, I would be the worst stalker on the planet. I left the country for months immediately after we broke up, flew to Japan twice, and moved across the country shortly after I returned.
This is bad argumentation because you don't have to be physically stalking someone to be stalking them, but...
That is the behavior of someone pulling as much distance possible between themselves and the other person, not following them. And while she was calling me a stalker in front of millions of people, she was quietly making the rounds through the community, going from person to person behind my back, spreading a version of events I had no opportunity to answer. Emiru also claims on her own stream that she filed a restraining order in 2 states. Emiru said, and I quote, "I'm already in the process of filing a restraining order on him in both Texas
I don't think there are like hundreds and hundreds of messages. I don't think that's the case. Where are we at? 23:53? I think Emiru shows like everything, right? And this is not like hundreds of messages. He sent like beggy essay posts like a few weeks apart at a time, from what I can see, right? That's what this looks like. What have we got? Monday, January 27th. Saturday, February 22nd. Sunday, February 23rd. Feb 23rd. March 1st. May 15th. Oh, March 20th. I know it's March still. That's March. March 15th. March 20th. April 11th. May 5th. Now, okay. This is, okay, you're gonna set me off, okay? I'm really trying to not spug out. But this message is annoying me. You have to watch the video where she like pops up more and more screenshots. It looked bad for him. We can surely do better than this. We can surely think a little bit more critically than this. I did just show the messages where it's all popped up. And we go through the dates. Yes, it can look bad if you're like not watching super attentively and you see a bunch of things pop up. But this is like a common lying content creator tactic. Not saying Emiru is lying. But it is a common lying content creator tactic. Mama Max did this when he was responding to abuse allegations. You know, they will flash things up quickly. If you don't take a second to look through it, it can look really bad. We just looked through it. It was like 5 or 10, sometimes single messages even. But it seemed like basically the character was 5 or 10 messages where he's like, hey, I've just been really thinking about stuff and, you know, it's not all bad, is it? And we could still talk. And, you know. It's 5 or 10 messages like that, separated by sort of like a week or 2 at a time across 3 or 4 months. That's not hundreds and hundreds of messages. That's, you know, that is sort of within bad breakup bounds, really. I think, like, you know, that's bad breakup where you've broken up a couple times and gotten back together bounds. That's like not, we're not into, what would you say, abuser, harassment territory with just that. So you can say you're just saying it looks bad, okay? I understand that maybe all you're saying, but it's not very interesting to me to just hear the optics of this, you know. It looks bad, it looks good, you know. No, let's try and figure out what's actually happening. I think that's the real question. What's really happening?
That is the behavior of someone pulling as much distance possible.
I think you would need something else for harassment. I think if there's no explicit communication, and no blocking, I think I need something else on top of that. For the harassment.
Themselves and the other person.
And again, the same with the stalking. Stalking, I think, would require some sort of prolonged character of behavior in other ways as well. For harassment, I think all I would need is even just something that colors those messages differently. Like, let's say you're sending those messages and then you're also going and banging on her front door. That would be, like, harassment, at least, if not stalking, you know? But I would need something else. I would need either a pattern or something that characterizes those messages as more threatening than they seem.
In May of 2025, 5 months after we broke up, I sent her a long message by her own account on her own stream. She received it and sat with how to respond until her friends told her it had to be AI. She said, and I quote, I had someone send me a massive apology message and I wasn't sure, like, what to respond. I showed a couple of friends and they were like, this is literally ChatGPT.
Okay, I don't care if the messages were AI. That's irrelevant to me. That's like such a stupid point in this.
Someone sent me like a massive like apology message and I wasn't sure if I like wanted to respond, so like I showed a couple friends and they were like, Emmy, this is literally ChatGPT. And I was like, oh. I guess I'm not responding.
You could put it back into ChatGPT and be like, is this?
Yeah, no, they did, and ChatGPT said it's probably ChatGPT.
This is obviously about me because we were in a relationship the entire time that ChatGPT has existed. This was months before she even went public with an accusation. You do not consider how to respond to the person you say sexually assaulted, abused you, and stalked you. The only thing that stopped her was that her friends decided that my words were too well written to be mine. Think about that. I would like to now talk about the abuse claim that Emiru tried to hint
That's a weak point from Mizkif, to be honest. That's a really weak point.
at on her stream. Here's the truth, in my own words. I have never hit Emiru. The one physical thing that ever happened was an accident. I had a habit of tossing my phone onto my bed, and one time it bounced off the mattress and caught her in the eye, and it left a bruise. I felt terrible about it. I apologized immediately.
So like this as well is like, I don't know, man. You bounced your phone off a bed and it hit her eye. Yeah, I've you know, what is it? I can't even think of what the abuser story is, man. I've had a few girlfriends walk into doors in my time.
I stopped throwing my phone that day, and we moved past it. That is the only time I ever hurt her, and it was not on purpose.
Fell down the stairs.
What makes that more than just my word is that at the time,
Who hasn't?
her own account matched it in 2022. When she had the bruise, she did not call it abuse to anyone. She called it an accident both publicly and in private. In Emiru's best friend at the time's chat room on August 11, 2022, surrounded by all of Emiru's close friends and even her brother, she said the same thing. When a friend asked her directly whether something had given her the black eye, she answered that it was not intentional and called the whole thing a funny story that she would explain later. Verbatim, did someone knock you out, Emily? Emiru said, not intentionally. I got a black eye a week or two and it's finally almost gone. It's a long story, but funny as fuck. LOL, I'll DM you later. There was never a police report. There is nothing in any record from that time that treats this as an abuse in calls, text messages, or anything that...
Well, yeah. To be honest, okay. Now, this is actually a strong point from Mizkif, I will say. If he did it intentionally, you would kind of expect Emiru to have spoken to someone about that. She does seem to have been speaking to friends about her relationship. It doesn't seem like Mizkif was totally cutting her off, or she couldn't ever speak about a relationship to her friends. You would expect to see something referencing, even if it's just a call log, and you can't actually prove what happened in the conversation, something to indicate you spoke about it around that time. I think that asking for a little bit of circumstantial or contemporaneous evidence is not crazy.
To much of the internet, I am a rapist. I am an abuser, and I am a stalker. None of that is true. And that is the version of me posted under every video I make and handed to people who used to watch me, people I worked with, and people who have never met me. It has cost me my reputation that I've worked 10 years for. It has reached my family, it has reached my friends, and has hurt my work directly. Making content, getting sponsors, and using the platform I spent years building, the same community she built her following on. And it did not stay online. At multiple events, I have been called a rapist. And at one event, minutes after I picked up a wristband, 3 security guards walked me out in front of everyone, and posts mocking me for it reached hundreds of thousands of people. I've been called a rapist to my face in bars and restaurants for most of the last 8 months, and I decided to stay inside because of that. This is a girl named Meg who said, imagine being such a prick you got kicked out of the FlyQuest party after showing up uninvited. This is another tweet. LOL, Mizkif got kicked out of the FlyQuest party after getting rejected on the Partyful app. And then someone asked, what is this party? Also, what is the Partyful ALR? Thanks for ahead of time. She said, TLDR, he was rejected from an esports party, showed up anyway, and got kicked out instantly. So they tried to paint a narrative that I was kicked out and that I was not invited. I want to make it very clear. I was invited by my friend Alana. She just texted me and said go. And I have been to hundreds of parties before Emiru's allegations with no problem in any of parties.
Who's Alana? Do we know which Alana this is?
Before Emiru's allegations with no problem in any way, shape, or form. And I got texted by Alana to go to this party with my friend Jeannie. We show up, we did get wristbands immediately, and we were able to walk in. 15 minutes later, was when I was escorted out. I never had a problem getting into the party. I showed my ID just like everyone else and waited in line and was immediately let in, only to be almost immediately let out. This was not a case of someone who was simply disliked. And before I left for Japan, after I broke up with Emiru, I was around creators of every kind. And when I came...
The thing is that even under like the most uncharitable version of Emiru's story, he's still not a rapist, right? She claims it's a sexual assault, but rape is generally considered to be non-consensual penetrative sex, right? That's not what happened here. He made a move that was maybe an undue escalation for the situation. He misread or intentionally pushed past a boundary, but he didn't actually, do the thing. It stopped before that.
Came back, almost no one spoke to me. And while I was in Japan, Emiru went through all of my old friends and everyone that we were friends with and spread lies about me. And instead of going to the police or any legal channel, she went straight to the people who mattered the most in my life and my career. Whether out of bitterness that I was the one who ended it or for some other reason, I cannot say. What I can say is that friends stepped back, not for anything I did, but for what she told them while I wasn't in the room. And the harm was done before I even said a single word. People watched Emiru's live stream and came almost immediately to every place you can find me and said that I was a rapist and destroyed my name. A false story then took hold that I had admitted to everything when I hadn't. When I spoke, I denied everything, and you can see it on my YouTube channel. And the file transcript proves it. But people who had already made up their mind repeated the false version anyway. Her words were chosen with care, precise enough to be legally actionable, vague enough to let an audience picture the worst. She never had to say rapist. She said sexual assault. And to the millions of people that she said that to, people now call me rapist to my face. That is the harm. It is ongoing. It is every day. And that is why this record exists. To show you how little of an outcast I was, these messages are between me and my friend at the time, Leslie, who is also known online as Fuslie. This was November 2nd, 2024, just 2 months before me and Emiru had broken up. I was in LA and I wanted to meet up with her, but she responded, "I won't get to see you before you go, but I'm coming to Austin for OTK game day, so I'll see you in like 2 weeks. And then you can just come to LA whenever, cause you'll love it here." Oh lol, wait, that's great. What was your apartment complex called? On November 4th, 2024, she then tells me her apartment number. This was someone that I once called one of my closest friends, Fuslie, wanting me to move to LA as I was telling her 2 months before I broke up with Emiru that I wanted to move to LA and get out of Austin, Texas. Because I knew at the time that I wanted to end it with Emiru and move on. At the time, Fuslie was one of my best friends in the scene. Her and I would talk all the time about our problems, our issues. We would play games together.
I don't know that I buy this whole "I knew I wanted to move on" thing, because he was being beggy in those DMs. It's like, yeah, you can be kind of conflicted, but he's like acting like he wasn't at all.
I was hanging out with her on stream constantly for about 3 or 4 years straight. And whenever we had an issue, we'd call each other. Whenever I was in LA, she was the first person I'd call. Fuslie, whose real name is Leslie, I met her 4 years ago when I went on a girl named Katamia's stream for her subathon, and it turned into some of the most fun I ever had streaming. We became close fast. We played games together all the time. We talked constantly about content, our lives, our relationships, and sponsors. When I was anywhere near LA, she was the first person I called. And just 2 months before my relationship ended, she wanted me to move into her own building in LA. Right there with her, November 2024 text will show that the unit under Valkyries is available and come to LA whenever. I'll love it here. That is the friendship this next part is going to show you that I had. I was very close to all of these people in LA, just like I was to everyone in Austin. But I wanted to move to LA.
Dude, remember when Mizkif started watching the Turkey Tom video the video on the Turkey Tom allegations? And he's like, he's bisexual, which is fucking disgusting. That was awesome.
And I knew I wanted to break up with Emiru. This next part that I'm going to show will show you what has happened to my reputation ever since Emiru's accusations. On June 18th, 2025, after texting me how excited that she was for me to come over, Fuslie came to my house to hang out. She cut my hair and I streamed it. The very next day, June 19th, is when Cutie Cinderella sent the message shown before you that Fuslie had gone to Cutie asking what she thought about me. and Cutie told her her feelings and then told her to reach out to Emiru. Cutie is a dumbass and sent that message to an account that she thought was Emiru, but it wasn't. It was Emiru OK, who then gave it to me after Emiru made her allegation.
Dude, Cutie Cinderella is so fucking dumb, bruh. What the hell?
Showing you that people were my friends prior, but then once they heard Emiru's allegations, completely stopped talking to me. That is a 24-hour window between Foosley sitting in my house and excited to be there, and Cutie privately briefing her on what it is and how to think about me. After the one private conversation, Foosley stopped talking to me entirely. That friend who wanted to be there on day one of me moving to LA, that friend that wanted me to live in her apartment complex under her friend Valkyrie, was gone because she was told what to say and how to think about me. That friend who was at my house one day, who wanted me to live with her at one point, was now gone because of what she was told in a private message she was never supposed to have. A message from someone who was not even involved, repeating claims about me that were never true, and making her doubt a real friendship over accusations I was never even given the chance to answer. So you have one day where she's at my house having fun, the next day Cutie Cinderella messages her, and then she never talks to me again. This is what was constantly happening to me for about a year until Emiru came out through allegations. I was not an outcast. I was friends with every creator. I slowly became an outcast over that year as Emiru's lies were spread amongst the community, and nobody told me what was really going on. For almost a year now, I have been forced to live inside a bubble that isn't
Didn't hear
mine,
that, no, someone.
and it doesn't feel real. I've been wrongfully punished and treated and seen as a man that I am not. I've been labeled a rapist, an abuser, and a stalker. 3 words I have never been. Wrongfully attached to my name and my reputation and my community for the entire world to treat me as such. It took more than my name. It took my reputation, it reached into my family's life, and it has completely destroyed me as a person.
Nobody called him a rapist. Yes, they did. What do you mean?
I don't wish any of this that has happened to me among my worst enemies. There were nights it would have been easier to just disappear, to be quiet, to let the loudest version of the story become the only one. But it didn't disappear, and I'm not going to. This is not the first time, and it will not be the last time that I will address these allegations. I spoke the same way she did, and I have talked about it on stream since, but this is the first time I've done it in a way with a clear head, with preparation, in every document in front of me, and every quote sourced. I spoke the same day she did, and I have talked about it on stream since, but this is the first time I've done it in this way. This is only the beginning, and I'm going to go through all of this because I know she won't, because it will prove her lies. Because the truth doesn't ask me to shout, it only asks me to stay, to stand here with these documents, with the dates, with their own words, and not look away. I'm standing up for myself, I'm standing up for people who stood by me, and I'm going to keep standing for as long as it takes. This has been the worst year of my life. I wouldn't wish this on a single soul, not on anyone, no matter what they've done to me. All I have ever wanted is for the truth to be heard, and for justice, real justice, to find its way to the surface. To my community, and to everyone who never stopped believing in me. When believing in me costs you something, thank you. Before I go, there's just one more thing I want you to see. Just one. This whole case will be decided on evidence. The messages, the devices, the documents, everything both sides has to hand over. Under oath. I filed this lawsuit on November 3rd, 2025. By her own side's account, she knew about it November 10th. And on November 11th, the very next day, she went back on stream and told everyone watching this in her own words.
I got 2 new computers. My other computer is gone. I gave it back to Starforge and they wiped that.
What was that?
By her own side's account, she knew about it November 10th. And on November 11th, just one more thing I want you to see. Just one. This whole case will be decided on evidence. The messages, the devices, the documents, everything both sides has to hand over. Under oath. I filed this lawsuit on November 3rd, 2025. By her own side's account, she knew about it November 10th. And on November 11th, the very next day, she went back on stream and told everyone watching this in her own words.
I got 2 new computers. My other computer is gone. I gave it back to Starforge and they wiped that shit.
I'll see you in the next video.
Dude,
Subscribe,
what?
comment.
That seems crazy, bruh. That seems fucking crazy.